The media loves to bash Elon Musk and his companies. In this particular story, they're bashing Elon Musk and the Boring Company for locating in a place that wants their business. The tone of this story is so negative when there's nothing to be negative about. It's a very straightforward story of a business finding a good place to do business and a community that wants to have that business there. And somehow Bloomberg casts this incredibly negative tone on it, even insulting at times to the town. So there's a video that goes along with this. We're going to go through this video and I'm going to break up what they say, show how it conflicts with what actually happened or how it contrasts and how their tone is misleading. We're going to go through all that and expose the media for what it is, lying scumbags. Lying scumbags. Are you ready? Let's go. Lying scumbags. Let's dive into the video and listen to how they talk about this small town.
This tiny town in California, and what makes it the perfect spot for the Boring Company?
It's a very small, scrubby town. On the surface, there's not much to recommend it.
On the surface, there's not much to recommend it. Small, scrubby town, tiny town. Why are you talking trash on this town? Why are these big city snobs talking down? Why are you presenting this in a negative tone? Why did you start with this negative tone, trashing this town? What's going on? This is journalistic bias to the extreme. Sarah lives in San Francisco. You have to be careful walking down the street not to step in human feces. But apparently there's a problem in Adelanto that needs to be slammed. Come on. And listen to Sarah's attitude and this other guy's attitude about the town having flexible business regulations. They describe it like it's a bad thing. This is a business publication. This is Bloomberg Businessweek, is her article. They're talking about it like it's bad that a local government is friendly to business and is flexible with their regulations. Why?
And they are willing to just take a very flexible approach when it comes to regulations. They're just interpreting them in a very business-friendly way.
We wouldn't want governments to be business-friendly or flexible. That's terrible, Sarah. I'm glad you're on this. I'm glad you're on the job making sure that governments are inflexible and unfriendly to business. That's what Bloomberg Businessweek wants for America, is unfriendly, inflexible government. Great idea, Sarah. Good work.
You want to go dig up a ton of dirt there? That's fine. And if you're Elon Musk, they'll whisk through your permits. It was just incredibly quick.
We're talking like, things being approved in a matter of days rather than years.
Right, or sometimes a matter of hours.
Sarah is being misleading here. This is a town that's friendly to all business. It's not just Elon Musk. She specifically took a spin on this, that Elon Musk got favorable treatment. But if you read her article, she said, in contrast with much of California, where it can take months or longer to get real estate projects approved, permits can get same-day turnaround here. Not Elon Musk permits, business permits in general. Whenever a rule offers room for interpretation, civil servants, many of whom work on contract and know their jobs are in writing and helping as many businesses as possible, tend to read it in that way that provides the least friction. This is about making the whole town is business friendly, and it's not just friendly to Elon Musk. So describing in a way that makes it sound like Elon Musk got special breaks is grossly misleading. Sarah is lying here. This is lying, Sarah. You were more honest in your article. For some reason, when you got on video, you lied and made it sound like Elon Musk was getting special treatment. And notice at the top, they lack reputational pizzazz. They're just constantly zinging Adelanto like there's something wrong with a small town trying to improve itself. Not much to recommend it. Come on.
Biggest thing that the Boring Company was able to do in Adelanto was tell them any digging they would fill up later. Instead of building a building, they just put down a concrete surface and then built a tent over it, so they didn't need building permits. Normally, there would have been a big environmental review process for anything like this, but the land they found, the city ruled was previously disturbed because it had motocross races on it previously. So the city said they didn't need an environmental review.
So to be clear, Elon Musk and the Boring Company found a property that didn't need environmental review because it had been previously used in a way that was far more damaging to the environment than digging holes and pouring concrete. And Sarah finds there's a problem with this. There's no problem here. There's no problem here. The fact that they found a town that appreciates what they're doing, that they're digging holes in the ground. Why do you need a permit to dig holes in the ground? It's just absolute nonsense. They're just picking on Boring Company. They're picking on Elon Musk because it gets clickbait headlines, and people who hate Elon Musk love to jump on it. Nothing here. There's nothing here.
I've spoken to some environmental experts who kind of disagree with that, who say that in most places there would have been an environmental review, but that's what the city says. They had their lawyers look at it. They think they can defend it.
You got to listen carefully when liars lie. I've spoken to some environmental experts who kind of disagree. So some other environmental experts didn't agree. And even the ones who you say agree with you, kinda. So she found some. How many is some? 2? 1.5? This is very, very soft. This is very, very weak. This is just putting the spin on it how you want to put the spin on it. You can say a town lacks reputational pizzazz, or you can say that a town has character. You can say that it's colorful. You can say that it's picturesque. But instead, you pick negative things to say about the town. So here you say some experts say that this is wrong. Obviously, you talk to some other experts who said it was fine, and you're freaking out over it. Because you're looking for ways to cast aspersions on Elon Musk and his businesses rather than taking an objective view of the story, which is, hey, they were digging holes in the middle of a city. They found a place where they could dig holes that's much less obtrusive to the population. This is a good thing. We should be applauding. And instead, you're trying to find ways of finding problems with it. It's weak. Bloomberg, you should do better. Now, listen to these two talk about how the town thinks about bringing business in and their fundamental attitude, really, about what is the role of government. And they seem to think the role of government is to generate revenue for the town rather than the role of government to be a neutral player, a neutral referee, making sure the playing field is friendly or not friendly, whatever, but everyone's treated equally. Instead, they seem to think that the job of the town supervisor, the other officials, is to generate revenue, and that's how they're supposed to make their decisions.
The city manager and the mayor are eager to attract businesses to the city, but is Elon Musk and Boring Company, are they actually providing any revenue to the city?
Not really. They're not selling anything the city can tax. So far, there's little evidence that anybody has actually moved there from the Boring Company. When I went back in January, I talked to a foreman who told me most of the staff was still commuting either from LA or even from Vegas. Boring Company may start manufacturing cement tunnel liners in Adelanto, so potentially that could be something. But the city says it's playing a long-term game. They think that if Elon Musk's company is there, maybe they can attract more business either from him or other big businesses that'll come to town.
This is like they're saying nothing. They're reporting as if they're saying something. They're commenting on this. They're saying absolutely nothing. First of all, this idea that the job of the government is to approve businesses that generate revenue for the town is nonsense. That is not the appropriate role of government. That is not the attitude you want government officials to have. You want to have a level playing field and apply the playing field evenly to everyone. That is not an appropriate role for government to say, well, we'll take businesses that will generate revenue for us, but we won't take businesses that won't generate revenue for us. That is a wrong attitude. It's not what government is for. That's a really screwed up way of thinking about government. And they acknowledge that the mayor, the city government, is playing the long game. They want to be seen as friendly to business, bring in a business like Boring Company, and that will attract more business in the future. And maybe Boring Company will build tunnel liners there. Yeah. Well, if you want your town to improve, you want to attract more businesses, you want to make your town do better in the future. All of this makes sense. Their tone, they have this negative tone about it, like there's something wrong with what's going on here. There's nothing wrong with what's going on here. This is completely appropriate. This is the way things should be. Stop being negative for no reason.
Right. You quote him saying in the piece that it's like a privilege for Elon Musk to be there, even if they're not necessarily getting revenue, because it attracts attention and thinks it will attract other businesses. Is there any indication that that has happened? The attention, yes, but other businesses at this point?
Well, other businesses do have to go through a longer process and get more environmental sign-off which can take a few years sometimes.
Remember, we covered this before. Sarah is saying that Elon's getting special treatment, but in her own article, she acknowledged, as we talked about before in this part of the article, that the town in general is favorable to other businesses. There's this story that she's telling now that the town is giving Elon special treatment, that they're giving the Boring Company special treatment, conflicts with what she wrote in her article. This is not true. It is a business-friendly town. They are friendly to all businesses. Describing it as if Elon's getting special treatment is false. And she's about to talk about some hotel. A hotel is building a structure. It's not the same thing as digging holes and pouring concrete, so you're going to expect different treatment. But even with the hotel she's about to talk about, it doesn't really sound like they're giving them a hard time either.
So, for example, there's a Best Western hotel going up in town. And the city manager told me he thinks they sped up their process once they heard about the Musk project. That makes sense. If people are coming to town and need a place to stay, there is no good hotel in Adelanto right now. The Best Western would want to speed that up. He says he's talking to a bunch of other businesses, and he thinks that their interest level is rising because of the Boring Company. And I kind of believe him. That's a good calling card. He says he mentions it every chance he gets.
So in other words, the Boring Company and the town are doing good things, and it's working, and it's attracting more business to the town, and it's working out for the Boring Company. It's working out for everyone. But somehow you have this negative tone about it. And by the way, Sarah, you need a new headshot. You look like crap in this picture.
Hawthorne, California, which is known as being the place for SpaceX, a big portion of it, and also for the Boring Company. It's outside of Los Angeles. You report that the town of Hawthorne was starting to get sick of that dust coming from the Boring Company.
Did a Public Records Act request for all the permits that the Boring Company has gotten, and they took a long time. They did get quite a few. They wanted to do some projects that I think may never have happened in Hawthorne. Word was going around officials in California that Hawthorne was getting sick of all the dust and dirt being stirred up by the Boring Company, which often needed to close major streets in Hawthorne to do projects. And it was just getting complicated for the Boring Company.
Okay, so what she just said about Hawthorne having a dust problem with the Boring Company and SpaceX is baloney. It is absolutely false. I searched the internet to see if I could find any evidence of problems with dust in Hawthorne, California, related to the Boring Company or SpaceX, and I found nothing in my Google searches other than Sarah's article. And I also have an inside source, effectively. This is my brother Steve. He lives a mile from SpaceX and Boring Company headquarters. And I asked him, this is right near LAX airport, and I said, Bloomberg claims Hawthorne has a dust problem because of SpaceX and or Boring Company. Have you noticed that? He says, I have dust problem from the Chevron refinery and jet flights out of LAX. Unincorporated LA County might have a problem with SpaceX. There's no Hawthorne residents east of the plant, although there are some businesses. They just lied. They made this up. My brother's right there. I've been to my brother's house. I've been near the SpaceX property. They're making it up. There's no truth to this. Search for yourself. Go on Google. She's basically saying there are rumors that the city of Hawthorne was having a problem with dust. The word was going around. What does the word was going around mean? This is nonsense. Now, look, the truth is that LA may not be the best place to test out your tunnel boring machines, and it probably is better to go to a place where you can find a big piece of land cheap and dig under a place with a lot of dirt and pour concrete and do everything cheap. That makes sense, doesn't it? This story that there's somehow some secretive problem and they're escaping the heavy permitting regulations of Hawthorne, California, is just a lie. Sarah's lying. Bloomberg is lying. Why are they lying and attacking Elon Musk? Because it gets clicks? Because Michael Bloomberg is jealous of another billionaire having more money or more success? I don't know. It's nonsense. It's not true. This is from a primary source. This is my brother. Lives really close to SpaceX and Boring Company headquarters. There's no dust problem from SpaceX and Boring Company. And there's other dust problems. There's a refinery there, for crying out loud. There's an airport. Hawthorne is just south of LAX airport. Come on. We can do better. Bloomberg, you can do better. You don't want to do better. You suck.
So they were looking around for another town where they wouldn't need a permit every time they wanted to turn on their boring machine. I spoke to one county supervisor in San Bernardino County who said he recommended a few towns where he didn't think it would be a problem. Adelanto was one of them. And the mayor told them, well, in Adelanto, you've got a lot of dirt. You really wouldn't be able to tell if it's your dirt.
Yeah.
Why is this funny? I don't get the joke. Adelanto is happy to have a company in town that's generating business and doing good things. Where's the funny part?
From California, and I knew nothing about this tiny town. But this is a place that a very small number of people. The economy is not doing so well. Private prison is a huge driver of the economy there. And it's also somewhere that has had its share of political scandals with issues with animal control, parents involved in weird ways with the school district. Take us through some of that and how this storyline kind of plays into what is happening there.
Okay, this is just nonsense, okay? There's corruption everywhere there's government. There's no particular corruption happening right now in Adelanto, so you're trying to attach the corruption of the past in this town, which has nothing to do with the present, to somehow cast aspersions on Elon Musk and the Boring Company and the current government, which doesn't have these problems. You're going to hear some stories about problems in the past, as if San Francisco never had problems, as if Los Angeles never had corruption problems. There are problems anywhere you go. My hometown, I was on the town board. Our police chief was charged with a misdemeanor. I think he was charged with a felony. He was going to casinos on town time while he's getting paid. And that's a small town. Stuff happens. Okay? Stuff happens. That doesn't cast aspersions on the businesses that were operating in my hometown of Guilderland. Chief Murley got in trouble. That didn't mean the rest of us were corrupt or that we were giving special deals to other businesses. At least I wasn't. Of course, I didn't have any power. Maybe there was something going wrong there. The town attorney that I had fights with, he's in federal prison right now because he cheated somebody on their estate. There's corruption in governments all over the country at all levels of government, small towns, big cities, federal government, state government, happens everywhere. How does this relate to this story? It doesn't. You're just telling stories so you can try to cast aspersions on Elon Musk and the Boring Company. You suck.
I couldn't believe one town of 30,000 something people had so much drama over the years. It was just incredible to me. So I have to say the town is doing a little better. That deficit, they're chipping away at it every year and they are bringing it down. So I think what the city manager and mayor are doing seems to be working. But this is a town where previous administrations, there were drug busts. The mayor's house was raided. The former mayor's house was raided by the FBI. The U.S. attorney is bringing a case against a former politician there that'll probably be going to trial sometime this summer. The town tried to boost revenue by fostering the marijuana business, which to some extent is working, but also just created a lot of room for shenanigans. Even the city animal control supervisor got fired or resigned after he was found to have drowned hundreds of kittens.
Shenanigans. Oh my God, there's shenanigans. Kittens. Let's dredge up everything we can from this town's past for God knows how long. And somehow we acknowledge that everything's better now, that the current government is doing great, and everything looks good, but this town has a terrible past and they killed kittens. And so therefore Elon Musk stinks. Why are you telling this? Do you get the feeling like if you were out at a bar with a group of friends and these two were there, everyone would be sort of edging away from them and letting them have their own conversation, not wanting to be a part of it? Like, oh my God, why does she keep talking like this? Oh, let's find another. Let's see if we leave and they won't notice we're leaving, we can ditch them. These are the people who get ditched at a party. You're out drinking with friends and all of a sudden you're like, hey, where did everybody go? They ditched you because you're a boring loser.
Like the problems are big, they're small. There was a charter school where moms got upset and vandalized classrooms with ketchup and mustard. This is a felony offense because they somehow did several $1,000s worth of damage. The sheriff's department got disbanded due for corruption.
Basically, what we have here is a town with a history, like any town has a history. And were there some bumps in the road in the past? Sure, there were some bumps on the road in the past. Does any of this have anything to do with real problems in Adelanto today or what's going on with the Boring Company today. No, they're dredging up a whole bunch of old stuff. Ketchup and mustard, a felony. Oh no. Really? Really? That's what you got? I didn't want to forget this. This is the property that Elon Musk, the Boring Company, acquired. They needed something that was at least a half-mile long. Obviously, if you're trying to dig tunnels that have a certain length, you need a lengthy piece of property. They found a 20-acre plot zoned for manufacturing. So it's good zoning. It's the closest landmark of note is Bravo Burger. Okay, there's a burger joint. They had an annual motocross event there, which means the property was previously disturbed. I don't know if you've ever been to a property that had motocross on it, but it does tend to disturb the property. And there's no Joshua trees, there's no protected species on the property, so that made it easier to do the work they wanted to do. Where's the problem here? They found a property that didn't need you to remove the trees and replant them. They found a good place to do the work. They paid only $500,000 for the land. This is all good news. Why are you trying to make this a bad story? This is just a great example of how the media spins things to try to make anything Elon Musk does look bad when what he's doing is very transparently a good thing. There's some movie line, what we have here is a failure to communicate. What we have here is an intention to prevaricate. Prevaricate meaning lie. Sarah and her little friend there are just spinning stories and telling lies about the Boring Company to try to make what's going on in Adelanto look like a bad thing when it's actually a good thing. You are going to locate this kind of operation somewhere. It makes a lot more sense to locate it in a small town with a lot of dirt and a lot of empty land than it does to do the same kind of operations in a busy city near one of the world's largest airports and one of the world's largest ports and all the beaches and all the other great stuff that's near Hawthorne, California. This is great news for the Boring Company. They found a piece of land for $500,000. They found a friendly town that is letting them work on their tunnel boring machine. And bonus, it's halfway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. It's in San Bernardino County, which means it's near Rancho Cucamonga, which means it's not far from the Ontario County airport project that Boring Company will probably be doing. All of this is good news. There's no bad news here. This is all good news. Great stuff for the Boring Company. We're looking forward to it growing. If you like this video, please check out some of my other videos. Please support this channel on Patreon. Check out the t-shirts, the machine that builds the machine. Soon we'll have the machine that builds the tunnel boring machine. Check out my book, Fair DUI, on Amazon. Links to all of this stuff below. Thank you so much for watching.